So this is about Twilight's unoriginality. Before anything else, before I realized the lack of storytelling structure, the anti-feminism, and just how much of an awful person Bella is, I saw this book's unoriginality. To me, it was like reading an Inuyasha AU fic that took inspiration from, or flat out stole, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Roswell. Let's look at Edward and Bella's relationship first. The human girl, non-human guy story has been done over and over again. Usually, it's a recycled trope of the beauty/beast story. I'm not talking about the Disney movie here. There are stories where a human girl gets herself involved with an otherworldly guy who's been deemed dangerous. Nowadays, it's society that labels the guy as being dangerous. Then we learn he's still good despite the judgment of society. Even if he has a dark side, then the monster guy has to come to terms with his nature. He angsts over it. He thinks he can't be redeemed, but the girl will accept him for who he is and blah, blah, blah. And that's what Bella and Edward's relationship is, or what Meyer tried to make it be. But any tension that could have been created by the beauty-beast relationship is completely deflated by Meyer. Giving a vampire a second face, or fangs, is symbolism of the demonic nature of a vampire. I can't believe I would have to explain, symbolism to an English major, but Meyer once said that she didn't understand why, some vampires burn in the sun. She's actually that dumb. Oh, by the way, when Edward said it, we can't go out into the sun, I thought he would transform and look demonic, and then Bella would be forced to come to terms with loving a monster. But no, he goddamn sparkles. In the second movie, Kagome and Inuyasha kiss. She kisses his yokai face when he's transforming into this beast that wants nothing but to kill until he expires. That's the reason why the kiss is so powerful, because Kagome accepts all parts of him and just sees him and loves him for who he is and can even kiss his monster face. Buffy did a similar thing for Angel. He was vamped out. He said he didn't want Buffy to touch him like that, but she said she didn't even notice. Vampire-human relationships have been done over and over again. There's Buffy and Angel and Buffy and Spike from the Buffyverse. There's Abel and Esther from Trinity Blood and Sookie and Bill from True Blood. Right, and those are just the series I like. And now I see the CW is premiering The Vampire Diaries based on the books of the same name that came out 18 years ago. So the idea of taking Vampire, making him good, and giving him a girlfriend has been done. Oh, and about The Vampire Diaries, Kelsey had this to say. Seriously, how L.J. Smith hasn't sued for plagiarism yet is beyond me. In Vampire Diaries, the girl lives in a small town, meets the guy, and he's mine about him. The vampire guy only drinks animal blood. At one point, I'm sure he dazzles a secretary into doing something for him. There's a love triangle. The guy can read people's minds, although all vampires can in this story. And at one point, a werewolf shows up. The first werewolf's name was even Jacob. But there's also Stefan, the good vampire, who doesn't kill people. And there's Damon, the bad vampire, who does. Sort of a nice, wholesome Cullens and the big meanies, James and Victoria, right? The last book of the trilogy of Vampire Diaries centers on a love triangle between Elena, Stefan, and Damon. Breaking Dawn focuses on the love triangle between, or Eclipse does, between Bella, Edward, and Jacob. In both books, there's no real conflict between which guy she will choose. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds an awful lot like Twilight to me. Luna Ashes brings up other ideas. Bella and Edward supposedly have a forbidden or star-crossed love. I did a video already about why Edward and Bella's relationship isn't forbidden, so I'll just skip why it's not forbidden, and I'll just say it's not. They're not Romeo and Juliet, no matter how much Meyer wants them to be. Forbidden love is also older than dirt, by the way, and goes way back to ancient Greece and the myths. the tradition of myths that came out of there. One thing that's also older than The Hills is love at first sight. This trope is a bit outdated since our culture is cynical about the idea of love at first sight, but Meyer invokes this in her story. Something that's relatively new is the vampire versus werewolves thing, but it's relatively popular in today's fantasy media. Luna Ashes also points out how many times the bad boy plus straight lace girl pairing has been done, and I'm sure everyone out there can think of, like some TV shows, some anime, some movies that has been done, and I can think of at least like 5 in my head right now. One of the things that struck me when I was reading Twilight is how much it's like Roswell. I was one of the 13 people in the world who watched that show. It's about a group of alien-human hybrids who go to high school and try to hide in plain sight and pretend they're normal humans, just like the Cullens. The alien teens are terrified of anyone learning their secret, lest the government find them and dissect them and perform experiments on them. They didn't even tell their adopted parents their secret. Max, one of the aliens, uses his powers to save Liz, the human girl, thus exposing himself and the other aliens. Does that sound familiar? He heals her after she gets shot. I remembered it for a teaser trailer of Twilight. One of the guys said to Edward, "She's not one of us." Michael said that to Max about Liz in Roswell. The other aliens, Michael and Isabel, do come to accept Liz with time, again, like with the Cullens for Bella. And Bella is what Liz is supposed to be. She's book smart, she thinks on her feet really well, and comes up with actual good plans to get them out of crazy situations. She's kind and forgiving. She also has dark hair and eyes. She's mature and, well-read, and, she has, she does quite like Romeo and Juliet, but that doesn't make her an idiot. Also, the idea of a human girl having a normal guy who's interested in her when she doesn't return his feelings, because she's interested in the supernatural guy, has also been done. In Roswell, it was Kyle, and Hojo, it was, in Inuyasha, it was Hojo. Wow, I can talk. So yeah, and Bella has 3 boys interested, seeking her special flower, but she doesn't care about any of them. Also on New Moon, when Edward leaves Bella, that has been done over and over and over again. When a guy says, "I have to leave you because of, the danger I cause, or the danger, of you being in my life has caused. I must leave you to protect you." And they almost always get back together. And that's happened in everything I've mentioned so far. In Roswell, in Inuyasha, and Buffy, even though, Angel stayed away. And I think in Vampire Diaries. I'm sure if you're a fan of supernatural love stories, you can think of your own examples as well, like I am. I'm a fan of them. So really, there's nothing new under the sun, but some of the more original ideas Meyer had were very poorly executed. The treaty with the Native Americans was one, but for one thing, you don't make treaties with single families. You make them with tribes, and the Cullens, they're not a tribe. Meyer completely limited herself by her lack of research. Her vision of vampires is original, but she completely stripped them of all traits that make them vampires, except for the fact that they drink blood, they're super strong and fast, and they live forever. And she made them sparkle, which is, an original idea, but honestly ridiculous. Meyer took away any of the deeper symbolism you could discern from her story by turning her vampire hero into an abusive emo bishonen. Auf Wiedersehen.